that no one reads, no one trusts, and no one listens to. But it's emperor's new clothes. Everybody goes along with it, that they're the biggest thing in the world, so everyone just bows down to it all day like it is. All right, I'm digressing here. I just read an article like this, and it is the discredited New York Times that is hanging on by its fingernails to any readership, any credibility, anything. And that's why they're going to try to shut down freedom on the web. That's why they're delisting Infowars and Prisonplanet from Google News. That's why they're censoring us on military bases and government buildings all over the world. They're censoring us, folks, because they're scared to death. They know we are absolutely on a tilted football field, going uphill, getting touchdowns, beating them. So they just want to shut down the entire game, even though we're going uphill, dragging balls and chains behind us. They want to shut down the entire game and just flip the field straight up so we fall down into Hades, basically. We're going to skip this network break because I'm on a time schedule with 3 guests coming up, and I've got to get to both these special reports that we're about to cover. So I'm skipping this network break. Stations I know out there should not be going over this network break. I just eat this, and the network eats it. We re-air the ads later. I'm going to get to it in a minute. And if the water doesn't rise over Bear Creek today, I'm going to list a bunch of new affiliates we've got. I didn't get to it yesterday. But, by the way, speaking of Drudge Report, our article's up there. Obama signs global internet treaty worse than SOPA. White House bypasses Senate to ink agreement that could allow Chinese companies to demand ISPs remove web content in U.S. with no legal oversight. Paul Watson's in China right now with his wife. That's why he was reading it in the Chinese papers and wrote this from China. Lo and behold, that same day, it came out, UK denotices to go worldwide. British government is already ordering Google, and Google's complying, we now learned for 2 years at least, to take down and delist websites in the United States that the British government doesn't like. Already happening. Already going on. Already taking place because they have to. The shriveled New York Times, MSNBC, and the rest of these pathetic dinosaurs are already extinct. They've already turned to ashes like that vampire at high noon and blown away. All they want to do now is take us down with them and shut us down because they're in total panic. That's why the White House regulations are back in the news, saying shut down people that don't agree with them, shut down websites that criticize electric cars. He was in the news 2 days ago saying that. I mean, you talk about Twilight Zone tyrant-level control freak, spasms and temper tantrums publicly. But these scum are in control. They've hijacked the country. So just because everybody knows they're a pack of lying crooks doesn't mean that we're not in deep trouble. Oh, it makes me want to throw up. And worse news out today, EU signs the ACTA, Global Internet Censorship Treaty. All the European countries have signed on. Japan signed on. They all love the censorship. It's here. Get ready. They're coming for us. Because they can't stand it. They can't stand the fact that they can't sit there and be arrogant media whores anymore and that no one wants to listen to them. Now, this is a breaking news report here. These are excerpts from my film Martial Law, my film Police State to the Takeover. That's from 2000. And from Martial Law 2005, confirming that they have these FEMA-funded hubs and Sandpoint Naval Brig in Seattle where they put political protesters under FEMA's control. And then you tie that into the Emergency Centers Establishment Act, and you tie that into all the admissions that they have these hubs at airports, like they have here at Austin, at the old Robert Mueller, and at the new airport, Bergstrom. They have these holding hubs with porta potties, cots, bolts and chains in the floor to hold political dissidents. And this has been admitted for more than 13 years that we've known of. When Rob Dew, my reporter, he's suing right now, they're trying to settle with him, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, over arresting him for videotaping from a hilltop, them beating and arresting protesters. They took him to a military base. They had people getting off trucks with bags on their heads, and the police were all there with the military, set up with the computer terminals, running and all. So military bases, sports stadiums. In fact, that's in the news today about the sports stadiums. That's in the Miami newspaper. They want to put the homeless basically forcibly in the ballparks and stadiums. That's Miami Herald. So all of that's going on. You got urban warfare drills everywhere, and we get sent photos from LAX in an area, and we went and checked the Google Earth. I made some phone calls and confirmed it is an emergency center of the police and FEMA. That's all police that I've talked to know. And the word is it's going to be used to hold people, to take them out to the airfield and split up and break up different groups that are going to rendition centers, that are going to overseas torture camps, that are being taken to other federal facilities. So this is a rendition mothership area. So I want to go to this video report from past and present. It first starts out in 2004 in New York. Here it is. We're in New York City, right here on the Hudson River. And this condemned former bus station where they stored the buses is being used to hold over 2,000 protesters. And they admit that they randomly set up fences and scoop up whole crowds of people and then take them here. And for over 3 days, they've not let people talk to lawyers, call out, talk to their families. Some have been released. Some have gone to the hospital with rashes over their entire bodies. This building is condemned. The city admits it. The bus union wouldn't allow them to use it years ago, so they turned it into an emergency police facility. It's full of asbestos, chemicals, oils from decades and decades and decades in this 70-year-old building, and the average stay for someone scooped up in there is over 24 hours. The city even admits that.
Many of the nearly 2,000 protesters arrested over the past few days have been taken to an old bus depot on Manhattan's West Side. But now the use of Pier 57 as a temporary holding facility is stirring up some controversy of its own. Protests are being held there to spotlight conditions. Some of those being detained say they're getting sick. There are reports of cramped conditions, rashes, chemical burns, and difficulty breathing.
We should call this facility what it is, and it's a concentration camp. It's the Pier 57 concentration camp.
The mayor has the nerve, and the police commissioner has the nerve to allow this to happen, to actually stick people in an oil-filled garage with asbestos.
Across the nation, at airports and old military bases, they're installing hangars and structures to intern the American people under military control. They're also integrating local police. You've already seen some of the evidence. But even the town where I live, Austin, Texas, is not immune from these activities. We're told that there's a holding facility here on the old Robert Mueller Municipal Airport, a hangar to hold people. Have you been inside there?
No, not since they fixed it up. I haven't. I was in before they fixed it up.
How did they fix it up?
Well, you probably don't recognize it, but it's an abandoned hangar at the old airport just off 51st Street. Today and tomorrow, sheriff's employees are turning this place into a booking center and even a holding cell. Now, it really doesn't look like much, and okay, it's really not, but it is a perfect place to set up shop. Anyone arrested in the Travis County area during the New Year's Eve party for a Class C misdemeanor will be brought out here. Sheriff's officials tell me it's pretty primitive. Inmates will be fingerprinted and allowed 2 free phone calls. Then they'll be held here for about 4 hours, just enough time to sober up. Then they'll be released and expected to appear in court in the future. Only people who have ID on them will be brought out here, since they won't have the capability to run fingerprint checks, and they're mostly expecting people arrested for public intoxication down in the A2K and 6th Street areas. This temporary booking facility opens up for business tomorrow night. That's Thursday at 8 o'clock.
We're hoping to get staff acclimated to working in this environment starting tomorrow, with hopefully a low volume of arrests. So hopefully by come Friday night, everyone will know how the flow is going to work in here and be used to it.
The holding cell is surrounded by this chain link fence, and the fire marshal has told the sheriff's department that they can hold about 380 people in here, and the sheriff's deputies are ready for a busy night.
Anyone who got in their way was arrested and shipped to a FEMA center, the Federal Emergency Management Agency. in direct violation of Posse Comitatus, had Delta Force on the ground from day one of the demonstrations and protest, continually integrating the local, state, county, and city police under federal command. This should be a giant red flag for any American concerned about their God-given rights and their freedom in this country.
At least 250, perhaps more, and those that have been taken into custody from the streets of downtown Seattle protesting for a variety of reasons. The World Trade Ministers here on their visit. You see them here with their hands pretty much cuffed behind their backs with those plastic sort of strap handcuffed apparatus. They are being led into the Sandpoint Brig. Remember, we told you about this story, dancing all the way in some cases. We told you about this story a couple of weeks ago. A number of the neighbors in that area of Sandpoint Naval Air Station were shocked to hear that the old brig was being reopened just in case it was needed, and it has been. As we said, at least 250 arrests now, maybe more.
And we've seen 400 people arrested. The facility at Sandpoint, we're told, is full. We're told they did not create another one at Boeing Field, but they continue to arrest people, and they continue to crack down hard on the protesters this afternoon.
The worst thing is I finally saw something with my own eyes. It's one thing to talk about it and hear people talk about it on the radio, etc. I saw this with my own eyes at LAX, the Los Angeles airport. They've built a giant human holding pen. It's obvious. It's quite obvious what it's for. It's for processing people. This thing, they used to park all of our limousines and cars and buses at the eastern end of the north set of runways. There's two sets of runways at LAX. They used to park all of us at the eastern end of the north runway where the planes would land right over the top of us. They moved us all out of there this past summer, which I thought was strange. What I saw was when I pulled in there, and I was followed twice by the cops when I pulled in and I took pictures. This thing it's a holding pen. It could hold thousands of people. It's right next to the tarmac. There's no buildings, no nothing. It's like a 10 or 12-foot fence with a permanent concrete base around the base of it. And there's two sets of barbed wire on top facing in and out. So, there's fences like that all over around the airport area.
They actually have one of those at Bergstrom and at the old airport. And I first reported it was a secret holding pen. But the news said I was a conspiracy theorist, but that it was to hold people during civil unrest. So I'm bad for being right and breaking the news. I don't get an award. I'm bad because I'm right, and it's kooky not to like it.
What's going on at the old airport?
This is where the party could end up, Walt, if A2K and Y2K partiers do get out of hand.
These turnstiles, let me describe them. Because
okay, we're going to go to break. We're going to back it up. We're showing you reports from 12 years ago and yesterday.
We're on the march. The back down.
Okay, we've got a special report I shot and compiled with Aaron Dykes yesterday.
You can stand me up.
And I don't know how you describe their incredible lies. The only thing that isn't done is that I haven't titled this yet. TSA defines deception. The TSA are the world's biggest liars. And the world's biggest liar award goes to the TSA. I don't know what title to give it. I think we're going to air this piece and then give it a title and then put it on Prisonplanet.tv and YouTube and post it on Infowars.com and Prisonplanet.com. But again, the piece you just heard is excerpts from a film I made in 2000, Police State to the Takeover, a film I made in 2005, Martial Law. And it's the footage of FEMA running, the military and police putting citizens in a FEMA camp in Seattle. FEMA ran setting up these same detainment facilities at the airports here in Austin. They're still there.